thought it'd be a good idea to try this coffee cola thing. Tastes like So I wanted to do a quick little video explaining why I think the AX8 is still a really cool unit. Now, the most obvious thing to me, I think, is this ability to change things on the fly with these knobs. And I feel like the way modelers are going now is away from this kind of thing, but I think for actual gigging, this is always going to be super useful to be able to just edit the thing quickly on the face of the unit without diving into the actual preset and, you know, selecting blocks. So even though the quad cortex has got a touchscreen and stuff, editing is still not as easy as using these knobs, which show you clearly where your settings are, and on the fly that would be super useful, I believe. And not only that, these are useful no matter where you are in your menu. So, you know, if you're on this view, you know, with pedals being pressed, etc., you still can get in here and edit. Here's one thing that I've noticed about the Fractal stuff, which is pretty awesome. So if I go here, you hear I've got a loop playing in the background. If I go to this preset, which doesn't have a looper, you'd expect the loop to stop, right? Now, if I go in and edit the layout and add a looper somewhere, this is something that's really clever and quite surprising. I don't know that anything else can actually do this. Then I'm going to select here and add in a looper, and guess what? The loop's still there. Pretty awesome. And then the other thing is this kind of now, with the new update with the FM3, the performance pages, and paired with an FC6, you can get close to this kind of experience, I guess. If you press across, you'll have access to these kind of settings, whatever you'd like them to be, which is really cool. You'd effectively just have these buttons on the screen corresponding to what these can kind of do by default, but I still think basically these updates and using the FC6 will take you closer to what the experience is already there with the AX8. I will say comparatively this is incredibly difficult to use compared to the FM3 or the AX8. I think they've made massive strides in their interface, which is a great sign. So currently I'm still in a kind of learning phase with this particular piece of gear, and I wouldn't say it's terribly easy to use or easy to use at all, but I can see there's quite a lot of potential there. So reading the manual is going to be something I'm going to have to do. But also using the PC editing software, I think will bring out a load of usability in this AX8. So anyway, I think this as a gigging piece of gear still holds up really, really well. Not forgetting that you've got two sets of outputs, so XLR and your normal jack cables. Paired with the flexibility of the Fractal grid could mean that I could quite easily gig this and set up one output without a cab on it to go in the effects loop of an amp or whatever, and then the other output to go to the front of house. Definitely super possible. Of course I could do that with the FM3 as well, or the AX8, but just the capabilities of this unit I think still hold up really well, even with a Game Boy screen. Another thing which is just super cool, which I've just figured out how to do, you have to go in and basically change some settings. You have to make sure that these F1 switches, if I do this a sec, if you go into your global menu, make sure that none of these foot switches here are set to XY functions, the F1, F2, F3. Once you've done that, you should be able to do this. So on my layout, if I go back to here, you see I've got edit, two different types of drive. If you long press 5, I switch between a Timmy and an 808 overdrive. So that's really useful. You can do this with any of the blocks that you've got assigned to your foot switch here. So I could do that with delay. I could have two different types of delay with a long hold. and 2 different types of reverb with a long hold, or anything else that I use these spare blocks for. And I've actually turned this F2 to be globally a looper control, short press. So if I short press F2, I get to and from my looper, and then I've got these 2 blocks here free that I could use per preset maybe. Anyway, the foot switching on this is uber flexible, and that's probably one of the things which I think would make it very appropriate for gigging. So you could sort of make your own global kind of layout where you've got, I don't know, maybe always a drive up here, always a delay here, always a reverb, and these 2 free for other stuff, and then 3 scenes like I've done here. You could even label that up if you wanted to with masking tape and stuff, if you want to go old school. And you can have different layouts per preset as well, and things like setting up these functions to do the things that you want to do. So yeah, super useful, and very flexible. So yeah, I'm going to spend some more time with it this week, I think, and try and figure out how to do some stuff with it. But yeah, those are just a couple of little things that I kind of thought, like having these amp settings here is pretty incredible. And then that looper thing, which I don't know that any other unit can do. Kind of cool. Catch you in a bit. Oh, if you want the sounds that I'm using in this video, then I'll upload these presets to my folder if you use the Buy Me a Coffee link if you want them. Catch you in a bit.